coming in hot.
Coming
And
in
once
hot.
again, the emasculation of Rich Rail happens with another one of my brothers and friends. I was just with another Minnesotan, by the way. You probably don't even know that because you've probably been busy. But on
Oh,
day 6, reconcile for the
yeah, yeah,
second
yeah.
row. Okay, you saw it.
I
And then
saw it. The dreads.
the
The dreads.
dreads, the manliness,
I
and then
mean,
like, right?
he's so
Dr. Sean
incredible.
Moore. And
He's
then
so
again,
incredible.
incredible. But listen, you won't say it yourself, but you're incredible as well, brother. And I'm like, the beard is looking awesome. You're looking good. I love your backdrop. I already told you that. You're a musician. We're very similar, man. People don't like that's what I love about this conversation, because if you go on surface level, you see Bradley walk through, you see Rich Rail walk through, the world tells you like they're not alike. We are very much alike.
These guys do not know each other.
we are like, this man is a musician, artist, like charity athlete, ministry, as well as technically like gifted, but in a different way, right? Engineering background. We're very, very similar, man. Like father, love being a father, family man, yeah, just so much. And our friendship started in the midst of this principle that we're talking about. We would not have met if we did not try to live lives where we actually tangibly take our life, not better than anyone else, and lay it down and do something about the tears that we shed about those that do not have, or that are oppressed, or that are heartbroken, whether as tangible as not having water and food and fair education, all that, and then as social as being treated as an animal, being treated as less than because of their gender, because of their ethnicity, because you get what I'm saying? All of it matters. I know it matters to you. We've talked about it. When there's no camera, when there's no parade, like
most of
we,
the time, because
we
most
know
of the time
there
there isn't.
We know the tears we shed when I come to you and say, hey, this was going to happen. I think I'm doing this Michelin race. Like, I think this is what it's gonna look like, or I'm thinking I'm going public with it. And you just serve without any flags, without any, so this is really the most public that I would say, right? That we've like proclaimed, that even that Bradley Hoffbauer has spoken into really Michelin race on a lot of different levels. And there's more to come. I know you got a bunch going on in your life, but we needed to open up like that. This is a friend, this is a brother, this is strategy, tears, this is hugs. We've seen stuff together, and it matters to both of us. And we got here through 7 other principles that were given from above. They're just the truth of it. And and you've watched this happen in my life, because when I started in the World Vision, I had yet to say anything public about any of my journey and the beauty and brutality of my life of diversity that I have been dropped into through my honors classes background, through my multi-ethnic community in a suburb that I grew up in, through my engineering travels, through my ministry travels, through my corporate travels, through my arts and entertainment, in every aspect. Always, whether I wanted to talk about it or not, this diversity, equity, inclusion was there at my table. And then in the midst of serving in this context with you, God finally said to me, like, it's time for you to say something in love. Different though. It's time for you to say something on behalf of all of your brothers and sisters, because you love them, right? So tear down all the lies, not just some of them, and do it in not a divisive and a broken way, but do it in a way. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's not always popular, and it's not always hoorah. And one of the main things I think of is you all, if you didn't watch this, and then we're gonna get right into the couple questions. If you didn't watch this, what you found yourself in the midst of is the 2nd annual, and in the last principle from something that we started last year, saying, happy birthday, the United States of America. So listen to me right quick. So right off the bat saying, we're about this life. We like the United States of America and what it's to be about, and the calling and the foundation, the ideal of it. Of we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union and in the pursuit of life, liberty, happiness, under God, all those things, we are about that life. We're saying, all right, it's a new birthday for us, the 245th year, by the way, is the year we're in the midst of. Just like anyone else making a birthday wish, just like a New Year's where we say, hey, there's resolutions, let's have some country resolutions to be better. So hold accountable. But like, I think that's what's missing, like saying we got another new year and we're due from the third or fourth, 7 days in. That's what this is about, saying each day, 8 days to choose love over hate in all the areas, and then giving you practical ways and principles that everything we do is built around to understand. Right? Humility precedes it, but understand, forgive, desire for unity and relate and healing, right? A desire to move forward with connect and reconcile. And then we got to start doing, and we talked about how love is both makes it make sense, right? When we have to sacrifice for this thing to happen, with it on all sides of it, whether it's forgiveness or whether it's humility, whether it's, whatever it is. And then how love also is the fuel, it's the jet fuel, it's the super sauce, it's the super unnatural, right? It is what allows us to live this life. And that's the first question, to take action. So why is it that you found yourself, and I know a little about your story and some people don't, find yourself as a person that it's hard to just be talking about it, and then there's something in you that says, I'm going to be about it. And when did that start? You know what I mean? I'm not want to put you up as a saint, because you can be like, I know you, Bradley, because you're not that guy. But at the end of the day, is you have done ministry, you have done for youth, you have done for World Vision, you have done, you know what I mean? And for most of the time, for people that are not just your family and or your community and or just your generation and or your ethnicity, whatever you want to call it. Why?
Yeah, for me, my first job, I taught for 6 years, high school.
Didn't know that. News. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I taught high school for 6 years, and the first school I taught in is at a high school in Danville, Illinois. This place used to be the home of some really big factories that back in late 90s, early 2000s, the factories went under or moved or whatever. And Cabrini Green busing started happening down to central and southern Illinois, which is a whole other
conversation.
Yes. And one of the locations for busing was to Danville, Illinois, and didn't have the structure nor the job economic atmosphere to support that. Maybe did right when the decision was made, but then those industrial decisions get made, so on and so forth. Anyway, I found myself teaching in a school, my first year in teaching, basically in rural Illinois, teaching an urban group of kids who also got dropped into rural Illinois, essentially. That was a big shock for my system, the relationships that I developed with people. We were back there last week, and Beth even mentioned to me, one of my students came in for a parent-teacher conference and had this big group of people with her, big group of people for parent-teacher conferences. There's one girl, super high energy, didn't do well in class very often, but very high energy, talkative, transparent as you could ever imagine. And this whole crew walked in, and they just said, "We're with Ashley." That's all they said. And I just went on with the parent-teacher conference. I was like, all right, here we go. We got a group of people in here. We're going to do this parent-teacher conference with a whole team in here. I don't know what roles people are playing or, like what's going on here, but went from that to teaching in inner city St. Louis, a little school called Eskridge High, right next to a place called Ferguson. Windows broken out. I mean, it was crazy, and realized pretty quickly that I was not equipped to do what I was hoping could be done in those places. And I thought, well, maybe I need a better understanding of what should be. took a job at a boys Catholic private high school in St. Louis and taught there for 3 years. And the entire time I was there, I was wrestling through these juxtaposed experiences for me. And the primary questions, honestly, that I brought were essentially back to my upbringing in the church. What does the Bible have to say about this? What does my faith experience have to say about this? What does my social faith experience have to say about this? What does my current social network say about this? Because we're not talking about these kinds of things. And I started asking questions. Like, what are we supposed to do now? Because the faith that I grew up in was always pointed towards some supernatural, non-bodily existence sometime in the future was the main priority or thing that mattered. And then that left me with, okay, but then now what? I've got like another, at the time I was maybe in my mid-20s, I've got another, I don't know, 60, 70, 40, 20 years here. What am I doing now? What does that mean for right now? Just in the past few years, I've really started to dive into this idea or concept that what I did yesterday, whether it was actively involved in subverting the roots of pain for others or not. So what I did yesterday or what I didn't do yesterday doesn't define me right now. And it can't. We have to choose to not let what we did yesterday or last week or 2 months ago or 6 years ago define who we are in this moment. And that goes both ways. Just because you served people in this thing over here this one time doesn't make you an active servant today, right? And just because you didn't serve at this one thing that you had the opportunity to do such and such a time ago doesn't make you not a servant right now.
And definitely not disqualified.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the other thing we do to ourselves, right? We're the overqualified. Hey, been there, done that. I've helped before. And that's right. False laurels, as you're saying. Right. Or I didn't. And I have so much shame in the fact that there's one time I felt like I was supposed to do something that I didn't. And now that keeps me in the mud. Do you know how many times as two people that have done a pretty good amount, how many still times that we felt, tell the truth, where we're like, man, I feel like I should say something or do something, and we haven't? Let's just be real. If all of us get stuck in that, no one is qualified to do anything.
No, that's right.
Or we've done it not great. How about that? Even when we said yes and we've done it not awesome.
And then we feel like we did a poor job at whatever it was that we were set out to do. I mean, that's the thing, it has the same problem, whichever way you look at it. Like if I stand here and justify myself by what happened before, or if I stand here and say I'm not going to do the things that I've already done, I'm only going to do new things now, or whatever that is, the result is the same: inaction to subvert the roots of pain causing issues today. That's the result: inaction. And if I look back and I say, well, I didn't respond then, so I don't have the capacity to respond now, or I've never been that kind of person, or I don't see myself as that kind of a person who can respond to those kinds of things, the same thing happens: inaction to subvert the root causes of pain for people right now. So
watch this. You answered both questions, by the way, what I was going to lean into without you even knowing it. No, but because really the second part of that question was give encouragement and hope to those that maybe are feeling something in their hearts, in their spirits, whether wrestling with, or they know there's been inactivity, or right, they know that they want to need to do more than a post or in a repost or a tweet, and like there's got to be some form of sacrifice of time, talent, or treasure to really like love on something or someone to because even faith without works is dead. Not that we're earning like our way into heaven, but also it's all talk if the love and the pain that we feel does not at some point cause our feet to move towards something, right? Or cause our schedules to shift. How do we know? One of the things we talk about in the ministry we were part of is that when somebody's serious, and maybe you've never heard me say this, when I know someone's serious about getting involved and doing something for children or those suffering or whatever the case may be, whether it's Mission One Race, whether it's World Vision, whether it's St. Jude, I don't care, you pick your charity, American Foundation Suicide Prevention, when they grab their calendars.
Yep.
Am I real? Like when I get on your calendar, when it's like, okay, what's happening that Thursday when it's happening? We know I'm telling the truth, family. If you're not grabbed your calendar, this is not condemnation at all. Then you're not all the way in. If it's not like pushing or sliding something into where it's time set aside, really, that's the love like to where, even if it's a conversation, right? And we'll talk about that in a moment, then that's where our challenge is for you and or for us. And I'm talking about this, we both train for long races and a lot of training. So this is, and on behalf of others though, so I don't know you, Bradley, but I still do not do anything endurance, family. And you might know Mission One Race is this 250-mile run that the first time I went, I felt called to do it, and it was epic and it was great. And by day 4, I was basically on my deathbed with almost the loss of my kidney as well as my right leg, and know that I wouldn't change it because that's what launched what it is now as Journey Teams, as people doing this relay. And in the following year, we did it with companies, churches, individuals, nonprofits, and we're doing this next year as well too, or this year, 2021. But as a relay, and I finished it. So like that's the story. So like the comeback was finishing, it almost being 2 years, and now I'm never doing it again. By the way, that way, just FYI. So I am relaying with the team because it was never about me doing something. But watch this. Where I feel like we are now in our country and in this movement here, Mission One Race, and even in my life, Bradley, and you can relate to this, or anyone that's done anything endurance-wise, it's those dirty miles. So it's like nobody's watching. It's like those training runs, you know what I mean? The ones you kind of know in your head too, like this is when people quit. You know what I'm talking about? Like, or this is when I can quit. Like right now, I can just stop. Yep. Like no one's here. Like there's no cheers at the beginning. There's not that adrenaline, and then the finish line is not really there. It's that in between. And where we are in our country is this weird stalemate that nothing is settled. Let's keep it real. We know that nothing is settled, and it's not, the demonstrations aren't getting publicly proclaimed. Both the good and or the bad is not being highlighted. So it's not popular, if you will, even by default. It's not hashtag popular right now. And where Mission One Race wants to be, and where my relationships and friendships wants to be right in here. It's actually my worst and favorite time of anything. Because if we're about it, then we're about it when nobody's watching. Yeah. Or few less people are watching. Yeah. Or it's those miles that you want to step, you know what I mean? Or it's those miles where, okay, how do we get the funding for this? Or how do we figure this out? How do I keep going? And that's not bragging. That's saying exactly where we're at. And that's why we said, yes, we're going to lean in. This year's not what we thought it was going to be, right? Things aren't opened up like we thought. Every organization is thinking that too. Like it's a lot slower entry than we thought. And even re-entry brings its own trouble, people's of complication, right? It's both the good and bad of it. It's a very awkward year. Yep. Very awkward year. So all of that to say, Brandon, what do you do? Or what have you done? And what do you probably suggest? Not that you're like, that's why I talk to my friends like this and people that I know and don't know, because this is not an expert degreed conversation, because no one has this thing figured out. Because look where we are in 2021. If they did, or people did, we wouldn't be here. We all know we're in a broken place, but I still believe in unity, truth being shared, and then hope. So really in and out in hope, how do we go with you personally, to Mission One Race, I'll take it, or to people just as individuals, whether it's this movement or others, which we have a calendar worth of things happening. So if you just want to volunteer, whatever, we kind of got our stuff on Volunteer Match. We're moving forward, figuring out funding, figuring out grants, just making it through this period. But what about these dirty miles? Or these like non-cheered miles or whatever that we're in,
right. You know, I think about the challenge. You talk about the challenge in this moment, right? And I was thinking about this week. The challenge that I feel like is most present right now. Right now, I know I'm way late to the party, but I'm reading 7 Habits for Highly Effective People.
I love
And
it.
I hit the spot. I hit this. I know I'm way late to that
You're
party,
not
but
late. You're on Bradley's timeline. You always
finally
have.
picking it up. I'm like, okay, I give it a shot. But anyway, he highlights kind of 3 ways to approach any issue in your life, or in the world, right? There is what to do, or what the issue is, how to address it, and then the desire around
Mhm.
addressing it. And I found this so interesting as I was just kind of thinking through my own life and even our society right now. I feel like we kind of came up with what the problem was, or what the solution was, maybe even. Then we kind of address, like, okay, here's how we think we should try to address this problem. And then everybody got the desire. And as soon as we had the desire, we went backwards and we were like, but I don't know if that's exactly how we should do it.
That's good.
Actually, I don't even know if that's what we should solve. I mean, so it's like we went all the way to the desire part, and then we were like, wait. Can I back this up a little bit and go back to the beginning part? And now then it feels like you just kind of get stuck at these other spots where you're like, well, what really is the problem then? So if this isn't the problem, if I thought this was the problem, but now you're telling me that's not the problem, then what really is the problem? And then there's this whole education piece that comes along with all these different elements in life, right? Around like, well, wait, I thought we already had the problem defined. Well, no, you didn't even really know what the problem was, because you're too far away from the problem. I guess I say all that and I come back to the space of like, we drove through Danville again this week, and it's still not in great shape as far as a city. It's declining economically. It's declining from a point of education view and all this other stuff. And you start to think, how can this get fixed? How can a problem like this be addressed? And as you start to think through all the solutions to what would exist there, you come to this realization, and it's, I can't do it by myself. If you think, right, like, well, if I had the means, if I could get together a group of people who had the means and the vision, then maybe we could come in here and do what?
And we're landing the plane right in that. And I'm telling you, the most humbling thing I have found out, and that's why I finally got to the place where, what happens if I can get through that year 1 and I crush it? I start realizing it's so what? Some dude. Listen, what I'm saying, it's no longer really stuff. Some dude just did this crazy thing for the stuff of this cause. It was great. What happens if I did have the means with Mission One Race? I can just fund all this stuff, and I have to pull people together, I have to scratch it. So what? Got some nice product out there. It is always the together that's the special stuff. It's always the community that it takes to do it. It's always the collaboration. So for those of us that aren't of faith, I don't apologize, but I'm gonna have another faith moment here. It's God always showing the both and of anything. The reason we can't just do stuff alone is because we miss out on the most beautiful part, is the process, the journey. That's why everything we do is Mission One Race, is journeys, is paths, because the path is a part of the healing. The collaboration is a part of it. So no, you absolutely, not only must you, he wouldn't even allow, if you could, even if you were that smart, if you were that rich, right, it still would fail, because the whole point is he's going to show himself strong in the midst of it and bring people together in the process of it.
And I think the key point there is that the people who are currently hurting are are the we, are part of the we. And
Exactly.
it is so tempting and easy for people who think they have means and think they have wisdom to believe that their community, which is separate from the community that's in pain right now, can come in and fix or change or support.
Yep.
No. You're
And Bradley,
only in collaboration.
and that's why and that's what the growth, you all, and we're going to tap out it. The growth is happening with the one community group is that is also, it's not just for the curriculum. It's for the activity, it's for the events, and then it's about mobilizing that one community group that makes a reason and a way for folks in that directly hurting and the ones that are indirectly hurt by the hurting, find a common platform and mobilize and move forward. And it's not that we're magic with Mission One Race. It's just saying it's making a vehicle, it's making space and time, it's making, right? Sometimes it's that simple, but it just takes that framing to where, right? And that's what you just talked about is one community group 2.0 in a post, which we're semi-post COVID now too. So this year is still not going to be fully what the vision is, and I'm okay with that. It's going to be hybrid of that, but we're going to go not only to, right, where you would typically feel like it needs to launch in all those areas and have these groups, and I'm not going to quit. And I've felt those dirty miles where I felt like I would. The other part I would say is that not only can you not do it alone, but it's the both and as well as far as strategy. I've seen two extremes in this action space. It's all institutions. It's all the institution's fault, whether it's governmental, whether it's school, whether it's business, whether it's nonprofit. And watch this. The problem with that is it's institutions and countries are still collections of individual people that make individual choices.
That's exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's not some inanimate object we're actually a breathing entity. Like churches are dynamic, transient thing. Like businesses and companies, literally the next day we can change this whole country.
That's right.
We decided to. That's actually
right.
encouraging and depressing. So watch. So it's institutional and it's individual. And that's what no one wants to hear, because you got people completely married to either one of those, right? Mm-hmm. It's just individual journeys and walking out, love people, right? Do it. And that'll take care of itself. It won't. It's the both and of that. Now, our emphasis in Mission One Race happens to be probably 60, 40, 70, 30 individual, because guess what? That's what we can easily get access to, more so than the red tape that oftentimes that are there for the bureaucracies in both, right? How we run our countries as well as institutions. So why not go, right, to where there is an audience and at the thirst and where there's ability and access, but build out as well the smart abilities of like diversity, inclusion. One is curriculum and training and stuff that can work in companies. We've had companies do it successfully. We have nonprofits do it successfully. I'm going to the churches doing One Truth messages and seminars. Like we're doing it all. That's the whole point. Let's do it all and faint while we're doing it.
Right.
And I think that's what people love and hate about it, because it's like, okay, what's your lane? And our lane is like, bring us the talent. We'll run in all the lanes, because all of the lanes got us to this broken point. Yep. So let's try to hit them all in the individual, as far as an emotional journey, a cognitive journey, right, an experiential journey, and then this journey together. And then as the overall strategy, let's hit institutions, individuals. I'm telling you, it's a ridiculous. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
All I need to do is take some Bradleys, some Monas, some Seans, some Ryans. I'm naming people in our movement, and like just clone you all. I guess that's also not. Some people just lost me. They're like, "Wait a second, this message is Christian." No, I mean, serious. If you're out there, you're watching this, we need you. That's the other thing that maybe you would agree me with. And we keep saying we're leaving, but this is the last one. You'll be okay. And I haven't seen Bradley forever, but this is the thing. What World Vision did for me in our time serving there is, there's no one coming on a horse.
That's right.
There's no the someone else is handling that. There are no someone else's. That's right. You are the someone else. You were Bradley. I was like, there's no other people coming into the extreme poverty and just like grabbing them out of it, besides folks that are volunteering and are being a part of organizations that are doing the development. There's no one coming into Danville, coming into Chicago, like just saying, hey, let me, like if we don't equip, and I'm sorry for stuttering a bit, you are. If you're watching this, you're the person, you're the change.
That's it.
We
That's
are.
it. That's
That's
it.
it.
There is no white knight coming in. There's no knight coming in to save the day. So you and even more so than that, we are all on level playing ground here. Like every single person is walking up with the same, capacity to support the change. A person with resource is just as equipped to help solve the problem as a person without that specific resource. It's not about the resource, it's about their presence. That's exactly right. It's about their presence, all of what they have, all of what they bring. And so it's just, there is no, knight coming in to sweep in and save the city or whatever. Like that's not happening. So the quicker we're
it. This is the plan.
That's it. We're it.
If you're a person of faith, like literally, the plan was he's going to use us.
Just
in case you didn't know that. Like he's telling other folks, like I got plans, these followers of mine that care, and they're coming here to spread the good news in the form of like life, word, deed, and sign. They're going to do good stuff, and we're like, hey, somebody's coming in. He's like, no, I'm sending you.
It's you. Yeah, right. Which can be discouraging, right? When you have that realization, you're like, wait, I'm it. Like this is it. Like we're it. We're all the ones, But then you're like, you know what? No, like we are it. Like we are it.
And that's also like, right? There's an ownership to that too. We're it. Like you're watching.
That's right.
Are both the best and worst things on this planet. We got to walk in that tension. We really are amazing together when focused on going towards good. And that's all we're trying to provide. Opportunities for us to collect and come together and do this, man. Bradley, we can talk more, and I know we will. And I'm thankful for your transition that you're going through. I pray things are well with you and the family and so forth. Hope folks that have watched this and been a part of this second annual 8 Days to Choose have been blessed. But please let this not be the last time we connect. Go onto our site, which will be completely revamped this month. We're working on this, that's another thing that you've touched. It's something we've went through multiple phases, but we've got a better plan figured out. Be a part of our One Community groups, which is going to be launching. They'll start in October. The virtual pilgrimage, which is now a part of the Journey 2021 as a whole, meaning take 250 miles, spread it out over 8 weeks, or you're a person that wants to run a relay of it physically in person or virtually with it. That's the Journey teams. If I'm talking too fast, take a look at it. That happens. And then we just got done doing 30 days of oneness. Like we are in here and that was in May, we are in here. And not to mention, there's always content and curriculum being created. We'll get back up on our podcast and things like that happening. It is too much, but you know what? That's exactly why I know that like y'all are coming, because it's too much for what we have resource-wise, people and or funds. And I'm going to stay faithful to it, stay the course, because people are, not only just people are hurting, I can see the other part that no one talks about in this conversation is the other side of it is beautiful. Like when you take the turn and you actually live a life where you don't have to walk in prejudgments or biases in you that you believe was like, and you're now at the store, you're somewhere where you don't have to now only feel comfortable when it's just folks that look and feel or think like you're whatever. And you can go, hey man, there's a human here. And that guard, when that guard comes down for all of us and you start to benefit the beauty in what happens, right? When you get unique perspectives and views and friendship, there's no going back. That's why I believe in this. It's not for fame, not for anything, it's because I want other people to experience. Like, I feel like I have a really awesome life because of that. Because you know what I mean? Like I've really, until people told me otherwise, and yeah, your feelings get hurt sometimes. But I'm like, hey, we're family. When I stand on that stage, and that's not just when I'm in a Black church. Like, I mean, I'm like, we're family. And it takes people a moment, they'll go like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I'm talking to you, brother. I'm talking to you, sister. And like, you know, and then you start almost changing a person through that. And I'm like, wow, no one's ever called me brother like that.
That's right.
I meant to know, like, I mean, no, brother. Like, I know sometimes there's other connotations to brother, right? But there's also brother. You know what I mean? Anyway, we can
that changed my life with you, Richwell. So you amongst a group of people, you know, who call me brother, and that changes a person. So
Love you, man. And I mean it. You know that. And I'm still got to get my butt up to Minnesota. Now I got double reason. You and Sean, we got to we're getting together. I'm going on record saying it so I can finally get up there. All right. God bless, brother. In the name of love, mission, and oneness, we're out.
Love you, man.
Love you.